Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Engineering the Paranormal. This is the place where we are going to explore tech in ghost hunting. I'm your host, Rob Walczak, and whether you're a seasoned investigator or just getting started, I'm thrilled to have you. Your curiosity and support fuel this podcast. I can't thank you enough for tuning in. Each episode, we aim to bring you closer to the tools, techniques, and the tales that make the paranormal world so fascinating. So grab your EMF meter, your thermal camera, or a comfy spot on the couch, and let's get started. So first of all, Happy New Year. As we step into this new year, I hope that it brings you prosperity, adventure, and a little bit of the unknown. Just like the spirits that linger in the shadows, may your path be filled with mystery and wonder. And cheers to you in the new year. Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a project that I kind of mentioned last episode. That is Project ARIS. So let me run the banner. Boom. Project ARIS. So what if I told you you could be a part of a groundbreaking effort to bring science and innovation to the world of the paranormal? That is Project ARIS. It just isn't my dream. It's a mission to elevate the ghost hunting to a legitimate, data-driven, investigative field. And I need your help to make this a reality. The world of ghost hunting is fragmented. We know that. There's different kinds of investigators. They use different tools, different methods, and reporting styles. Project ARIS will bring this consistency and professionalism to investigations, giving the field the respect that it deserves, right? So we put in a lot of time and a lot of effort, and I just feel that we need to be recognized on the level of those that do the UFO and alien abduction investigations, right? Everyone considers those, well, not everyone, but a lot of the, world population considers those to be more scientific than ghost hunting. Why is that? Well, that's because they document, right? So by standardizing the field reports, investigators, whether they're seasoned or beginners, will have a tool that captures their findings accurately and compellingly. It's about giving everyone a voice in the journey to the unknown. These reports that it's going to generate will be level set. So regardless of your background, you will be able to create these reports by answering a questionnaire that I'm going to put in the chat, which I need to, yes, thank you, Damien, let me find my cheat sheet on my computer here somewhere. So this that I'm about to put in here is the example of the form that you would fill out that would generate a oops, I hit send. Yeah, there we go. Send away. That would generate the field report. And my notes are all over the place. So one of the biggest challenges we have is that we face skepticism, right? I think by providing a standardized, data-driven report, Project ARIS can help bridge the gap between believers and skeptics, bringing more credibility to the paranormal community. So we've got the vision and expertise, but bringing Project ARIS to life requires resources, funds for development, infrastructure, and technology that powers this innovation. So I have been in contact with web developers and application developers, and the middle of the road one that I'm happy with, one that I think I'll get the most value This application is going to cost around $9,000 with a $250 a month fee just to keep it running. There's a ton of data that will be captured, so I've got to keep a database up. I will have to keep the pipelines between the database and the website going. I mean, the website itself isn't much, right? You probably all dealt with a website. You can get those from like Wix or whatever for $30 a month or less. But the problem that I run into with this is the data usage. And, you know, databases are not cheap. Let's just be honest. They're not cheap. AWS is, I mean, they're the best around, to be honest. And they're the lowest cost. They're lower than Microsoft's Azure, and they offer more features than Google Cloud. But, you know, every month you got to pay, and it's not cheap. So the total of this is estimated around $250 a month. To develop the web app will be $9,000. So every contribution, big or small, will make a difference in helping us build the tools that investigators need to succeed. Now, in the GoFundMe, I'm only asking for $3,000. That's about a third of the $9,000 that it will cost. So I will be, you know, using my own money for this. And then plus there will be a subscription base. It's a freemium, right? So there's a free version of it, and then there's the premium monthly subscriptions. The funds raised will go toward building the app that transforms investigators' inputs into a standardized field report. It uses cutting-edge AI, generative AI. So your donations will also support the development of the web infrastructure to host this innovation, if you will. This just isn't about creating a tool. It's about being a part of the paranormal community. When you donate to Project ARIS, you're joining a community of people who believe in exploring the unknown and advancing the paranormal all together. So imagine a world where paranormal investigators can share their findings in a consistent and credible way. You know, a world where investigators aren't dismissed by skeptics as pseudoscience, but are taken seriously like they do in say, MUFON, right? Where alien abduction and UFO findings are kind of taken seriously because they do such a good job of documentation. You know, that's the future I'm trying to build with Project ARIS, and you can help us get there. So visit the GoFundMe page today. The link is scrolling across. Let me copy and paste it into chat to make it even easier. And hello, Mark. I hope that GoFundMe link works. I've had problems with it in the past. Yes, so now I'm going to pay attention to chat and get off my soapbox and see what folks think about this. I mean, is it worth pursuing? I'm going to be putting a lot of personal money into this, but I want to make sure that it will be used and utilized by the community. So I'm looking for your responses in the chat. I see no responses. That worries me. So it's a lot of money to be dumping into this if there is no interest, right? So that, you know, I've always preached on this. This is where MUFON has done Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, huge organization, global organization that deals with aliens and UFOs. They're taken very seriously. And the reason for that is they document so well, and their investigators are trained and certified through MUFON, and they know how to fill out the reports properly, and they send those reports up into MUFON, and MUFON takes them and turns them into field reports or white papers. A white paper is something that a researcher creates for their findings. I see a lot of groups now are starting to call themselves researchers instead of investigators. So I see an evolution, right? It's from ghost hunter to investigator, and now it's investigator to researcher. But what I don't see are white papers. So if you are a researcher, start generating some white papers. You can Google that. A white paper is just basically a field report, if you will, of your findings based off your theory. So you may go into an investigation and say, I think, the report is this ghost walks up and down this hallway. So I'm going to try and capture information about this ghost walking up and down this hallway. And you may set up some devices to track that, to figure that out, right? And then your findings would go into a white paper for your theory. You can Google white papers. They're just all over the place, right? That's what researchers do. They field reports and white papers. That is true. And we need to stop that, because how in the hell are we supposed to find correlation or any kind of information other than, what grandma used to tell us, if we don't share the information? Because that's how data is used, right? There's all kinds of theories out there and beliefs out there in the ghost hunting community. Some people believe a full moon causes the veil to be thinner. Well, what proof do you have? You believe it, but what proof do you have? This is where the proof will be in the pudding, so to speak, right? And we may find out that a certain weather pattern thins the veil, or a certain time of day thins the veil. We don't know that because all of this information is fragmented and kept secret. And it's just all random beliefs by different people. And there's no proof for it. And that's why ghost hunting is considered a pseudoscience, unlike the alien folks that are putting stuff together. They're documenting it. They're putting those documents out for the world to see and criticize. And then they get better at documenting so that they don't get hit with those criticisms, and they just get better and better over time at documenting. And that's why the MUFON organization and alien researchers are taken more serious than ghost hunters. Yes, so that will always be an issue. Fake posters will always be an issue. People that pencil whip the report, and that's why I've got something in place where I will review it before it gets put out there. And if I feel that it's lacking information, it just got pencil whipped, or somebody's just making crap up, that particular field report will not get published. And that's the goal. All right. The goal is for everyone to get the same information so that you can research your theory and the other person can research their theory and pull from all of these documents of data. And I also want to evolve this. This isn't just going to be a one shot, one and done kind of thing. I want to evolve this into doing background analysis, right? So, with generative AI and LLMs, we'll be able to look at all these documents and, start pulling data from them and starting to see correlations. And I want to put that up on the website, right? There'll be a page. I foresee there's a page you can go to, and, you'll be able to see that most popular time of day that ghost, phenomena is reported, most popular weather pattern, the moon, what have you, all of that, right? So as we gather more data, I think more things will be revealed to us. Yeah. So something I would definitely use considering I have. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. So that's the whole point, is to have a centralized location like MUFON. Um, and there's no secret. I am modeling this after MUFON because they are so successful at what they do. Why not model it after them, right? Um, so that one place to go and get all of this. I want this to be owned by the community. Um, I don't want to own it and spearhead it and control it and all of that stuff. I want this to be owned by the community. So I foresee in the future, this is going to be a nonprofit 501c. And so we'll need a board, right, of the community members that will be involved in this. So, I mean, those are, I'm really thinking big on this. Yeah, that's a lot. 150 terabyte external. Yeah, I bet. Um, Damien, you can email me later, and we can talk about turning all of that data that you have into something useful. I am a data engineer by trade, so I love data. I know how to run pipelines. I know how to run scripts, code, dashboards, all that stuff. So we could take all of your data, even if it's just in text. We can take your data, run it through generative AI, and turn it into a rational database. And then from there, we could play with it and find a lot of cool stuff. So hopefully I haven't beat up the Project ARIS too much. You know what? Let me share this. How do I do this? I am very new to StreamYard, so bear with me. Share screen. That's what I want. I have no idea which is screen 1 and which is screen 2. So you're either going to get a picture of me in infinity or the right screen. Oh, that is the right screen. Excellent. So this is the GoFundMe, Project ARIS. I'm only asking for $3,000. You can donate more than that, but that's a third of the cost. So from here, you can read a little bit about it. I'm surprised that I can't upload a file. I wanted to upload the pitch deck for Project ARIS, but there's no file upload on GoFundMe. There is one on Kickstarter, but not GoFundMe. So yeah, and if donations above $100 will gain 1 free year subscription. That will give you the premium subscription there. And yeah, I sent the link out over in chat. I've got it down at the bottom for the GoFundMe. Please consider it. And know that it costs money to develop this stuff. It's not free. This is my Alan Cup. He is the author of In Conflict and In Too Deep, his 7-year study of a haunted location. Go check those books out on Amazon. They're great. But sorry, that was my plug for Ellen on the show. So that is Project ARIS, and I hope that you will help me with that. I can't do it alone. It's going to be too big the way that I foresee it. So I will, if the fundraiser is successful and I can get a third of the cost, and then because that tells me you're interested in it, right? I'm going to put out 6 or 9,000 of my own money, and I don't want to put it out there and it just fall flat and it's not wanted, right? So this helps me understand the market need for this or the market want for this. If you do donate, then I can proceed with it. Right now, it's kind of up in the air. I want to see what the community's thought is on that. Yes. It is just text for GoFundMe. I have no upload option at all. And if there is one, please tell me how, because I can't find one. I went and I created a pitch deck, and then I went to GoFundMe only to find out there's no file upload. So, yeah, I do have the pitch deck, but I can't upload it. And hello, Candy. So you got a choice. Either listen to me talk about some phone apps or ask questions about devices that are out in the field and how they work or how you should be using them or anything like that, or just theories that you have. I got no problem bouncing ideas, off me. In fact, I like that part. That's fun. So TikTok was banned in Australia recently. Yeah, so that's going to be huge for us in the US because there was a lot of very rich people created overnight because of TikTok. And their income is going to go away very quickly if TikTok gets banned. So they'll have to find real jobs. That stinks. Because a lot of those content creators were very creative and did a very good job at creating the content that they did. So I don't know. I don't know how does that work in the industry, right? Can you put that on your resume? In my generation, no. But in the modern generation and future generation, maybe you can. Maybe you can say, hey, I was a TikTok creator. I had 3 million followers and et cetera, et cetera. You should hire me. And maybe companies will hire you. I can kind of see that. So maybe they'll have to work for, the man, but they'll still be creating content. So up next, since there's no questions for me, I want to talk about ghost hunting apps. So I got an email, and this person was like, my EMF app on my iPhone detects magnetic fields because it uses a magnetometer. So magnet, right? Tometer, a meter, basically. So it's a magnet meter. Well, I did some research, and what I found out on the phone apps is, the magnetometer is designed to pick up static magnetic fields or permanent magnets like the ones on your refrigerator or the Earth's magnetic field. So the reason that these smartphones have them is so they can use the compass app, right, and locate true north or north. I don't know if they actually locate true north, but they locate north, and that's what they're for. Now, they can pick up very strong EMF, but they're not really designed for that, right? The magnetometer in smartphones is for the compass. It has a Hall effect sensor in it. A Hall effect sensor picks up permanent magnets. It's so it can find the strength and detect the direction of the Earth's magnetic field. It's not designed for EMF, although it can pick up very strong EMF, but that's not what we're looking for in the paranormal. When I say strong, it's above 20 milligauss, right? We're looking at 0 to 220 milligauss, right? We're looking for a very faint whisper of EMF where it shouldn't be there. So that's the EMF apps. I do have some other apps, but I see some questions coming through, so I want to get to those. Good quality cameras, you can adjust the shutter speed, and in dark environments, you want a longer shutter speed so it captures more light. A good quality camera can do that. The cheap cameras, probably not, because they're just made for the general public and they're, hide a lot of light. point and click, take a quick picture, and it's just got the basic settings in there, and you can't really change them. A good quality camera, yeah, you can go in there and change the shutter speed on those, and you can develop. I mean, you can go total pitch black and adjust the shutter speed enough to where you can actually pick up some stuff in the picture. All right, any other questions, or I'm going to go into my next topic. Tick tock, tick tock. I feel like someone's typing a good question right now. But I'm going to go into my other topic while I wait. The other phone app is the SLS app, right, for the SLS camera, like GhostTube. GhostTube says it is a SLS camera that detects humanoid bodies and homogeneous shapes in your environment, similar to the way in which a traditional SLS camera works. But does it? SLS stands for Structured Light Sensor. The camera works by using an infrared or an IR projector that sends out a billion points of light of IR and a special camera that can read them and map out the environment. It doesn't just see the IR, but it's able to detect the distance from one point and another point and say, okay, this cabinet is here and the front of the cabinet is closer than the wall behind it. Okay, it's a very specialized camera. It uses the distortion in the pattern of light, and that's how the camera receives it, and the system calculates the distance in various objects, right? And the processed data from the camera often displays a stick figure, right? It's a representation of a human being on the screen because that's what the software is looking for. The SLS itself just maps out the area, doesn't look for anything. There's an additional add-on layer of software that looks for a humanoid figure, right? True 3D depth sensing, like in the Kinect-based SLS sensor, requires specialized hardware like the Microsoft Kinect, or there's also the Intel RealSense, right? That is a developer kit that's out there. And there are other depth sensing cameras, which a smartphone lacks. So some apps use the smartphone's camera, right? Regular vision light cameras and motion tracking to approximate the 3D effect or try to detect motion in the space. These apps often use the phone's gyroscope or accelerometer, and that's if you're moving, right? And that's how it understands that what's in front of it is moving because the accelerometer is moving. They do not offer anything close to the same level of detail or accuracy as a dedicated SLS system. These apps can create the illusion of SLS-like effect and are often marketed as alternatives, but they are not true SLS cameras. They're more of a cheap approximation and tend to lack the precision, reliability, and depth sensing capability of a real SLS. So these apps are really just for entertainment. If you read the fine print, not the fine print, but the fine print, you'll see that they put in there that these are for entertainment, and that's so they don't get sued. So that is my soapbox for the phone apps. I'm now going to go to the chat and see what we have over in chat. So here's a good one. The Ghost Finder app is a mystery to me. I've tried to do some research on it, and I don't know what it's detecting. They say that they definitely say it's for entertainment purposes only, but they don't explain what they're detecting. I suspect they're using the magnetometer to detect magnetism, static or permanent magnets. Maybe they're measuring a fluctuation in that, which you will get in the Earth's magnetic field. You will get fluctuations. You can just walk forward, right, and it will fluctuate. That's normal. That's not anything paranormal. So it might be reading that and then saying, hey, there's a ghost off to your left or something like that. I'm still reading some chat over here. I'm not sure what you mean by older handsets and new handsets, Damien. If you could clarify that, that would be awesome. Yeah, I did some research earlier this morning and just looked at all the phone apps for ghost hunting out there, and they're really ridiculous. I can't believe some people fall for that, because some of them are just flat out ridiculous. As absolute as they are, I'm thinking, what caliber? So it's like you have all this special data on a ghost that no one else has, so your phone app can detect it. No one has that data. Again, because we're fragmented and everyone keeps their data to themselves. And that's where Project ARIS comes along, because I'm trying to stop that. So say iPhone 7 to iPhone 16 and various Androids. Okay. Yeah, so the software gets a little better in each version, and the integrated chips on the inside get a little better on each version. But I don't know if they add new sensors to them. I know with Apple, they're pretty straightforward on the sensors they have. Well, thank you, Wade. I know that they are pretty straightforward on what sensors they have. So, and I do know that at least Apple was for a time being blocking any kind of EMF detection inside the iPhone. And this was back when, people were making wild claims that, the iPhone was generating so much EMF it was going to cause brain cancer, which is not true. But, so they blocked EMF detection on their phones. I don't know if they've recently allowed, people to access any kind of EMF. I know they allow the static, or what would you call that? The permanent magnet detection. That's just the Earth's magnetic field. But they don't want you to be able to detect the EMF radiating from the iPhone. So that's why they block that. And that's the other thing is, let's say there is an EMF sensor, and there's no such thing as an EMF sensor, but let's say there is one inside the iPhone. You would not be able to read crap, because the iPhone generates, or any phone generates, so much EMF, it would dominate the readings because you're right there next to the source of it. So there's absolutely no way you would be able to read 5 milligauss, when the iPhone itself, or any phone, is generating 30, 40, 50, 60 milligauss right there at the source. Yeah, that would, that just doesn't pan out, yeah. That was a long time ago. Very long time ago. So, yeah, the apps, and then the structured light sensor with the SLS. Those, yeah, they don't have that kind of technology built into them. I know we think the world of our smartphones, and they can do a lot. They really can. They can do a ton of stuff, right? But they can't do everything. And these ghost hunting apps, honestly, man, they're just for entertainment. That's all. Um, I'm trying to think of one that I guess something that scans radio frequencies would be legit, right? Because it does have a built-in radio chip, so it can detect AM and FM. That would be legit, a spirit box type thing. Um, and I know at least with the iPhone, you can use it for getting EVPs. If you go into the recorder, you are able to skip the silence. So it's almost like a DR60 at that point. So when you play it back, there's an option to skip the silence. So it'll just go to where it records a voice. So that's pretty cool. I've seen a lot of investigators use that. That's not an app. That's just part of the phone, the recorder. But aside from them, I think everything else is just for entertainment. Um, yeah. I've seen a lot of people use them. Um, and I learned from Kalani Smith about the iPhone being able to skip the silence and just play back, recordings of something, your voice or a spirit voice or what have you. Let me see if I have missed any requests. Any questions? That's a good question, right? So I don't know when they put that magnetometer in there. Yeah, so that's a good one, Wade. If we're talking EVPs, I have a theory, and I built a few things to test it. I just haven't had enough time to test them because EVPs are kind of rare anyway. So my theory is they're not pushing sound waves. They're not pushing air molecules. Sound is air molecules bouncing off one another until they get to your eardrum, and then your brain takes that signal, and that's sound, right? And that's how a microphone works, right? Air pressure all the way to the diaphragm of the microphone, and then that turns into a voltage with the coil, right? And then that voltage goes down and is recorded as sound. My theory is they're not doing that, but in fact, their EMF that they generate is pressing upon that coil that's in the microphone. And that's where it gets imprinted into the recording, right? So we don't hear it. It's not sound that we think of, but it is EMF sound that gets pushed onto that coil of the microphone and then it gets recorded. And then we play it back and we're like, hey, well, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that either. But it's there, right? So one of the devices that I've created, and I want everybody to do this, buy a cheap speaker. Okay, go to Amazon, buy a $10 speaker. Cut out the diaphragm so there's no cone. Okay, turn that speaker into a microphone. It's very simple. Same way a speaker works, the same way a microphone works, except one's pushing voltage and the other one's taking voltage. You take those two wires, positive and ground, and you buy a 1/4-inch jack. You solder them together and you plug that 1/4-inch jack into your digital recorder, and then try and capture EVPs. That's what I've been trying to do, but the problem is EVPs are hard to capture. So I would need hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and I don't have that many hours or options or situations where I can go and try and get EVPs. If I can do that, if you have a speaker coil, because they're really big, right? You have a speaker coil and no diaphragm, and you're using it as a microphone. and you get a voice on, you should get no voices, period. Not even a human voice, right? Because there's no diaphragm. If you get anything on there, then that is through the EMF spectrum, and that would prove my theory right. So, yeah, that's one I've been working on, but I haven't actually captured anything. I mean, hell, in my lifetime, I probably only captured about 4 EVPs, period. Good ones. And I mean, much less since I'm looking for them, right? What you're going to look for, Damien, is a big coil. The bigger the coil, the more sensitive it will be. And thank you, Wade. Yeah, there are some ridiculously large subwoofers out there that have coils the size of this room. They're huge. And yeah, those are geared towards low frequency. But what I can tell you from looking at EVPs, looking at the spectrograph, they are low frequencies, and they have a weird harmonic signature. That's one of the hallmarks of an EVP is it has a weird harmonic. Someone goes, well, that's somebody talking in the background. When you record somebody talking in the background, they have a regular human harmonics. When you get an EVP, it's got some weird ass harmonics to it. It's not quite anything near what a person would sound like when they're talking. Yeah, Peter, I agree with you because I got to investigate a location. I was one of the first, or no, I was the first investigator at the location. I investigated it for 7 days, and I got to witness these spirits fool with or attach or play with one device a night. Every night they would pick a different device and they would just mess with it. Other devices, you might as well have turned them off because they did not do anything with those. But once they picked one, they would mess with it all night long. And towards the end of the investigation, they started, playing with all the devices at that point. So I think what they were doing, since we were the first to come in and address them and talk to them and say, hey, we got some toys for you to play with, they were learning how to mess with them. And we had devices like an EMF device sitting right next to each other, but only one would be affected and not the other, which I found amazing, right? Because they both should be detecting EMF, right? And they do. That's what they're EMF detectors, right? But they would have focus on one of them and just drive it nuts to the point of several times the batteries just drained on them because they were fooling with them so much. So yeah, I do believe that they do attach to a certain device and can really manipulate it. Witnessed it myself, so. Well, a speaker uses AC. It has to alternate. DC would just be all on or all off. It would be like a thud and then a thud when it turned off. That's all you would get with DC. So AC has to be alternating current. So a speaker does work on AC. And a microphone works on AC as well. So as your voice projects and pushes those sound waves, it pushes on that diaphragm and causes it to bounce back and forth, right? And as it bounces back and forth, it generates a voltage at that coil, and that voltage is recorded, and that voltage is a certain frequency, a certain amplitude, and it has all of these characteristics. So yeah, it would have to be AC. Man, these are some pretty good questions coming in today. I want more. Yeah, I used to work at a recording studio when I was younger in Detroit. I was a certified audio engineer. Sounds fancy, but it just meant that I know how to turn knobs on a mixer. I did get to record Suicide Machine's demo album. They got semi-famous. They were originally Jack Kevorkian and the Suicide Machines because they're based out of Michigan. Jack Kevorkian is from Michigan. For all you young folks out there, Jack Kevorkian was the suicide doctor back in the day. He would help people that had illnesses that were going to kill them. And he would allow them, he would give them the medication needed to end their life peacefully on their own. He did not inject it. He just gave them the medication and they took it and they went off to sleep forever. He got into a lot of trouble doing that. And I don't know if he's still in jail or not, but ska band out of Detroit called Jack Kevorkian and the Suicide Machines. They got really popular. They got sued, so they dropped Jack Kevorkian and just became the Suicide Machines, and I got to record their demo. But so I know a lot about microphones, speakers, and the whole audio side of things. Man, I'm not going to make any friends here, but I don't really believe spirits drain batteries. I think crappy devices drain batteries. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of devices out there that are cobbled together components of Arduinos, recharge battery banks and this thing and that thing and this other thing wired together that they bought off of Amazon or wherever, DF Robot or somewhere. And they cobble them all together and they all have inefficiencies. And by the time you add them all up, your 9-volt battery doesn't stand a chance. And folks will plug it in and, 30 minutes later, they're like, oh, a ghost drained my battery. And realistically, it's more likely the low efficiency of the device you're using drained the battery. And it will always happen at different rates because it depends on how much the device is being used. So the more a device gets used, whether you are waving your hand over it to set it off to make sure it's still on, or the environment is causing it to go off, that will cause the battery drain. Now, I have seen where good quality devices still get their batteries drained, like cameras and what have you. So I'm not 100%. I'm not going to say absolutely they cannot drain batteries, but there's a part of me that says if they could drain batteries, why don't they just go to Costco, right, and just load up on energy? Because Costco sells a lot of batteries, but they don't. So maybe the battery has to be in use. So that puts some stipulations on it. Maybe the battery has to have current flowing through it, meaning the negative and positive is connected to something and there's current flowing through it. And then they can steal it that way. How to protect against that, I don't know, because we don't really understand how they're doing it. We would have to understand how they're stealing it to be able to protect against it. You could try a Faraday cage around your batteries. That's one thing you could do. Take a Faraday bag. The reason for a bag is it's cloth and it has a very tight mesh, and you can wrap that around the batteries, and maybe that will, protect them from being drained. So I have noticed that rechargeable batteries don't get drained that much. The ones that are a part of the device, not the removable type that you switch out, like maybe on a camera or something, but the rechargeable batteries that are part of a device, like my Epic box has a rechargeable battery in it that's part of the device. You can't switch it out. They just don't get drained for some reason. Now, I don't know if that's because of the physics behind how the battery is slightly different. I don't know. Again, that's just we're lacking that kind of information to be able to know for sure, what's going on there. Yes, they're battery thieves. All right, we got 10 minutes. Hit me up with some more questions. I don't have anything else to talk about. And that's dangerous because I'll just get to rambling. Some people say the battery has to be, what was it I heard? Has to be warm for them to pull the power off of it. Again, I don't know. It goes back to Project ARIS. If we had more data to look at, then we could say definitively, yes, when this happens, there's paranormal activity. When this other thing happens, there's paranormal activity. But right now, we just don't have that information to say that. Yeah, right. Don't have a haunted Tesla. That would be really bad for you, good for the ghost. Hello, Gavin. Project ARIS is a project that I'm working on. It is, honestly, it's modeled after MUFON. MUFON does a fantastic job of documenting, right? The world doesn't scoff at a MUFON field report. They just don't, right? They may scoff at the belief of aliens, but they don't scoff at the report. And that's where I want to get, ghost hunting. I want to get that into a more accepted and credible. And I'm doing this through Project ARIS. So I have I'll just throw this out. You can go check it out again. A GoFundMe for Project ARIS. It's a web app that will take it will ask you questions. You fill out the questionnaire. It takes that and uses generative AI to create a standardized field report, right? So it level sets the field report no matter what your background is. It level sets the field report for all to read. And it will post that. People can go and read it. In the background, I'm going to be collecting the data from that so that I can generate, eventually, after I get enough data, I can generate a dashboard that will say, hey, weather conditions like this increase paranormal activity. The moon in this phase, paranormal activity, that kind of stuff. Right now, we don't have that. Everything is fragmented. Everyone is doing their own thing, keeping the information to themselves. And that's where MUFON, Mutual UFO Network, shines, because they don't. They make it all public, and they do a fantastic job of documenting things. So he had experience about, poor quality. So I could get on my Dollar General battery soapbox. So here's the thing. Regular batteries, alkaline, whatever, the normal batteries, not rechargeable. Regular batteries do not have to disclose the capacity. All they have to say is it's 12 volts, 9 volts, 1.5 volts. They do not have to disclose the capacity, basically the gas tank of the battery, right? Yeah, it's 9 volts, but it's got a 1 gallon tank versus a good quality battery that's 9 volts that has a 10 gallon tank, right? Now, with rechargeables, that's different. There's a law in place that says you must declare your capacity for rechargeables. And that's why when you go buy rechargeables, they will tell you what their capacity is. Alkaline battery, the old, standard batteries do not. So when you go to Dollar General or you buy the Walmart brand battery, you have no clue what the capacity is. It might last 10 minutes. It might last 10 hours. You don't know. Now, with the bigger names, Duracell, Energizer, they've got a reputation to uphold. So they have the longer lasting batteries, right? So they've got larger capacity. That's why, I always harp against using these dollar store batteries. Yeah, it's a 9-volt battery. I agree. But it's only got like a 1-gallon tank versus a Duracell that has like a 10-gallon tank, right? So you got to be careful with that. So he's got a 9-volt battery that can charge his phone. Yeah, and that's what you'll find. A lot of those battery banks are nothing but rechargeable double and triple A's stacked up. In fact, that's what a Tesla is. Yeah, it's just a shitload of AA batteries stacked up, rechargeable, and that's what's powering it. And it could be because they're warm. Heat is the enemy of electronics, so we want to keep them cool. It could be because they're warm that damage is being done to the battery. Yeah, if they get too hot, damage is definitely being done to the battery. Heat and electronics do not mix, much like water and electronics don't mix. Cool, like room temperature is best. Too cold doesn't work with electronics either. That's when your battery dies in your car, right? Is when it's freezing outside. You go start that thing, and that's when you realize your battery's old and it's just died. I believe those were a series of 12-volt car batteries lined up in the floor. So if you lifted up the grate in the submarine, you would just see an endless supply of car batteries. Yes, especially my car battery. Yeah, when it's cold out, that's when you find out your battery is too old, and it's usually when you're away, right? It'll start in your driveway, it'll get you where you're going, and then it dies. All right, I think I got time for one more, and then it's dinner time. I got to go make dinner. Any other questions? Tick tock, tick tock. So I guess not. So with that, I will let you all go. Again, Happy New Year. I hope your new year is prosperous and gives you lots of happiness. And until next time, take care.